Hello and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is John Lester, and in today's episode, we are talking about the life science industry. What is it, and some of the really key challenges and opportunities that the life science industry have to handle and really have the chance to take advantage of. I'm joined today by Chad House. He is the head of life science for Americas at Siemens Smart Infrastructure. Chad, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, John.
It's an absolute pleasure. So today we're talking about life sciences. What do we mean when we talk about life science or the life science industry?
Yeah. That's a good question, John, because there's a lot of different definitions of life science. Our definition of life science is although Siemens classifies us as a vertical market, really if you look at the life science market, we're really a horizontal market. And what I mean by that is that we really cross over into multiple vertical markets, such as the higher education market. They do a lot of life science labs, R&D, on campuses, government type of facilities. That's the National Institutes of Health, the CDC of the world there as well. So, those type of lab environments as well is very critical for our success, along with, local municipalities with, forensics labs. Mm-hmm. So those are often, kind of overlooked, for labs and critical environments there. And then, the big pharma, the pharmaceutical market is a big market for us as well. That's the Johnson & Johnsons, the AstraZenecas, the Pfizers of the world, Merck, just to name a few of our key customers out there in the pharma world. Mm-hmm. And then, if you really look at the healthcare market, healthcare is has a lot of life science, pressurized spaces that, we really get involved with in that market as well. So that's why we consider, life science a horizontal market, within, the vertical market for life science.
Yes, I understand. And you just mentioned a whole lot of different applications. And while the space itself or the function of some of the technology might be the same, the applications are really, really broad and probably come with their own challenges above and beyond, the technical challenges that you have to undertake.
Yes, absolutely.
Today we'll probably look a little bit. We'll focus a little bit in some of the segments of this market, and so give us a bit of an idea when we're talking about the government agencies, your CDCs, your WHOs, these kinds of organizations, your large pharma manufacturers, Pfizer, etc. What are they really up against? What are some of the key challenges that they find in this industry that keep them up at night?
Yeah. That's there's a lot of challenges that a lot of our customers are facing, these days as well. But if you look at the life science market, the customers that are into the life science market, if you look at, they really enjoy their spaces, their facilities. They really take a lot of pride into their research spaces. But if you look at the market, there's a lot of aging infrastructure out there that really needs to be taken advantage of, upgrades and bringing them up to modern technology for today. Go to market faster is another key challenge for a lot of these customers. And what I mean by that is, just like any other market out there, they have to really be on the forefront and be quick to, get out of the gate and get to market. Of course, competition is becoming greater between, pharmaceutical customers and, life science customers as well. And then, the big one too is actually attracting and retaining actually the top researchers. That really goes for the higher education or government type of facilities where they're trying to attract the top researchers to come to their facilities and do the research, so they can actually get the top research grants and the monies that are available there. So how do they do that? They really have to be on their game, and they have to have their facilities be top notch, state of the art technology. If these top researchers have the choice to go from one site to another site, of course they're going to pick probably the best looking building out there that has best technology out there, as opposed to one that's maybe has antiquated technology, hasn't been upgraded over the years. So that's a big challenge out there, Mark, is the big aging infrastructure, and then not to mention just the competition out there that's out there.
Yeah, and that aging infrastructure is a difficult one because when we're talking about these research grants, these really detailed, focused, and in many cases long-term processes where they're doing research and development. You can't compromise on the environmental space or the integrity
Correct.
of the space or the integrity of the process itself. Is that challenge is quite a conflicting one against when you're talking about aging infrastructure, when you're talking about trying to be competitive, trying to be efficient, when you know that you have to invest to just go about your core day-to-day business.
Correct. Exactly. So that's a good point there, John. Is I should say, if you look at the life science research buildings, there's a lot of different stringent codes and standards that apply to these type of facilities that don't necessarily apply to a non-lab type of facility. So that's another they have to maintain the compliance. If a regulatory body comes in and does a audit, they have to have proof that they're operating these buildings in a safe manner. Number one, but that's another challenge that I probably kind of overlooked there.
Yeah, but it's kind of intrinsic into it. So it's not so much overlooking, but it's for them it's standard operating procedure. No matter what they're doing,
Absolutely.
no matter what they're creating, it's a base platform of minimum requirement that has to be fulfilled, which is not so easy to achieve, perhaps in some cases.
Correct.
So I'd like to dive a little bit more into this time to market, because that's an interesting one that, and all of us in the world have kind of been living, we've been following a research development, production and rollout phase or process in the life science market, maybe like we've never done before when we've talked about vaccinations for COVID. We've seen so much effort go in from some of these companies you mentioned before, from kind of March last year through to now, when there are millions of doses running around the world. What are if we dive into that time to market, what are some of the real challenges about achieving that, and what are some of the phases that a company has to go through before we get that product in our hands?
Yeah. So if you look at what we've just have been through with COVID, in particular, is really the time to market was really accelerated just because it had to be, right? They had to come up with a vaccine in a quick manner there to overcome this pandemic. But just in general, if you look at the life science market, we tend to be both pandemic and recession proof. So, life science is really we can weather through the storm, even if, other markets tend to be down. Some of our markets were down over the last couple of years, in particular with the pandemic. But, the time to market is critical for these guys, because if you look at, typical, research and development can take, 5, 8, 10 years to develop a particular vaccine or a medicine there. But with COVID, they didn't have that luxury of that time, right? So they actually had to get out there and do the research and run it through the testing phases and get it to market quick as possible. So you probably saw that Pfizer was one of them, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, were the first three kind of out of the gate there. So it was kind of a race. But more interesting is we saw a lot of these companies form partnerships that you typically don't see out there. You see competitors coming together and form partnerships to get the vaccine out to market faster, to overcome the challenges that we were faced with the COVID pandemic. I think we have a lot to offer. If you look at Siemens in general, hands down, the capabilities that Siemens can provide our customers with, as far as the digitalization, we can help them, automate their facilities and have them work more efficiently and effectively, while keeping that facility in a safe, compliant manner as well. So, the digitalization for the capabilities that we have with the digitalization capabilities, is you're really hands down compared to our competitors out there. Our competitors really can't compete with us on there. So we're really in a unique position, to help our customers get to market faster and build that strategy, and we can actually look at further expanding our capabilities with standardization, so we're not recreating a wheel for every type of project out there. So with our standardization, with our engineering and startup procedures, that really saves a lot of time and actually money too. So we can actually be a lot more cost effective compared to our competitors.
Yeah, I understand. Let's jump back to the time to market a little bit, because you mentioned there 5, 8, 10 years.
Yeah.
Spending this amount of time on developing a product can't be a cheap process. How do normally when you talk about this investment into research and development, we then talk about, okay, you've got a product. How long can you be unique? How long can you leverage that? Correct. How does it look in the life science market when they develop these products? They invest so much time and effort and money into it. How does the time to market really affect their ability to then realize the opportunity?
So that's critical for especially the large pharma, when they spend the money for the R&D on these new vaccines, new drugs, new medicines out there. Really, they have a short window to get it to market and take advantage of and kind of recoup their R&D costs before their patent runs out. They actually have to file patents, and it's a very short window for that patent window that expires, and then that actually gives the opportunity for the generic companies, the smaller companies, to come in and develop a generic type of drug to be a cost-effective option for that R&D that they've actually expended billions of dollars on, a lot of times in this cases. So it's really critical for them to get their R&D done, run it through the testing phase, and get it to market, and try to recoup as much cost as they can before the patent runs out, and these generic companies come in and take advantage of the window that they have to develop a generic option.
Yeah, right. So you put all this effort in, you have this really short window where you kind of have exclusivity in the market to a certain extent.
Correct.
And once that expires, then you have a challenge, because of course there are others that can do things differently or in a different place or whatever it might be. And this brings us back to one of the points you raised before around that digitalization and that flexibility and the speed in adopting, because you have to be able to redeploy a facility that maybe was making product A yesterday, needs to make product B in volume, industrial volumes tomorrow, and the shortest period of time between A and B has a huge effect on the ability for that company to take advantage from that. How does that work? What are the challenges within that kind of process, from changing for redeploying that, or bringing something online, a manufacturing facility for a new product, and how can that digitalization aspect facilitate the speed and facilitate the accuracy while maintaining all of the regulatory and safety requirements?
Yeah. So, with our digitalization capabilities, we can really, assist our customers with, keeping on track and making their operation and their production operation more efficient, at that more. So that allows them to get their product out to the market quicker, and take advantage of the added time factor that's that is realized there with taking advantage of technology for the efficiencies, but not to mention, as far as the compliance tracking, with the digitalization that we can do and help our customers with, we can actually provide, the electronic records that are required by these regulatory bodies to prove that we're producing these products at a safe manner. Number one, that's key. Number one is you can't compromise safety to improve efficiency and the operation of the facility. I mean, safety is still number one. You hear about it in the market all the time, where some of these large drug companies, they actually have an issue with their production, and they actually have to dispose of a lot of their product, which is a lot of money that's wasted at that point. So how with our digitalization, we can actually help our customers be more effective and efficient, and track the progress of the manufacturing process there as well.
and mitigate that risk, because as you say, you're turning something that could be a valuable product into just a liability, and that, the difference between throwing out everything you did in a day compared to everything you did between these 6 minutes or something like that can have a huge impact then.
Huge. Yes. Yep. Huge.
Perfect. Chad, thank you so much for this insight into the life science market. I'm excited to talk to you a little bit more about some of the really specific details here, because as we talked about right at the start, some of these companies, some of these processes like you discussed, these are kind of daily, they're household names for us somehow, and it's interesting to understand the challenges that they overcome to create and deliver some of these products, whether it be from big pharma or protecting us, from a CDC or a WHO perspective, or in those forensic applications, laboratories in hospitals, and all these kinds of things.
Right.
I think it's really interesting. So thank you so much for the time, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to definitely further conversations with you folks.
Bring it on. And thank you to everyone who's listening to us as well. Remember to share, like, comment on this episode, subscribe to us, whether you're listening to us via one of your preferred podcast channels or watching this video on YouTube. Check us out. There's new episodes every week after a little bit of a break over our Northern Hemisphere summer. But remember to keep your eye out for new technologies and new conversations with Chad in the near future. Thank you all.